never have to masturbate at all. Unstoppable, inflatable you. You never seem to menstruate at all.
And welcome back to What's the Buzz. Now, that was from Tim Minchin's love song titled Inflatable You. And the self-proclaimed rock and roll megastar joins us today. Tim, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Alicia. How are you?
I am great. And now you're considered a triple threat, a singer, a songwriter, a pianist, performer. How did you get your start?
Well, I don't really know. I'm a musician, really, and I was trying to act, not particularly successfully, and I was trying to sort of write pop songs, not particularly successfully. I was doing okay, doing lots of theatre and writing music for theatre, and I put together a show that was just of all my stupid songs, just so that I actually with the intention of getting them off my chest so I could get back to writing really serious, heartfelt rock and roll songs. But that show went so well. That was about 4 years ago, and I haven't done anything except comedy since.
And done it very well. Now, I know that you hail from Perth, Australia. We hear the accent. But you've been in the States now since the beginning of March. How you liking living in New York?
I love it. I'm staying right in Midtown. I didn't, when I knew I was coming over here, I thought I'd just try and find an apartment as close as possible to the theatre, and I didn't really know the layout of New York. Given my time again, I'd probably live downtown a bit, somewhere that's not quite so touristy. As it is, I've got my wife and my daughter, and we're living in an apartment basically on Times Square, so it's all M&Ms and advertisements and Mamma Mia. But it's good because we're close to Central Park, so we can escape a bit. And I'm loving it more and more. You know, just like going into any big city, you need to find your places. You know, figure out which restaurants are the chains and which ones are nice, and where to get a drink and where you can eat late at night and all that sort of thing. But I'm starting to find my feet, I think. All
right, I'd like to hear that as a native New Yorker. And if you need any help, you just ask me.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to call you every night.
Now, I do have to ask you about your unique look. Let's call it that. I love the crazy hair, and I hear that you go barefoot during your performances. Tell us about that.
Well, I think it probably all looks extremely sort of contrived from the outside, but actually the look came about quite organically. I mean, the bare feet just came because when I first started doing comedy, I don't know if you ever tried to do some comedy, it's the scariest thing in the world when you first start out. And the wearing bare feet was a bit like, you know, they say when you're nervous you should picture your audience naked. I guess it's a similar kind of theory. I just thought if I go barefoot it'll feel like it's my lounge room, you know. And also I guess I come from the 90s kind of music era where everyone grew their hair and wore happy pants and played music on stage with no shoes. So that came out of that, and then a lot of what I do comedically, because I'm a musician first, is kind of mock my own failed desires to be a rock star. So so the hair and the makeup and stuff, I guess it's all a bit of a nod to that, but it also adds a little bit of theatricality and is a bit of a tip of the hat to the kind of clowning and even sort of Charlie Chaplin-esque kind of physical comedy and stuff. It has lots of different effects, but mostly it just came about because I wanted to look like a rock star.
And now you call yourself a rock and roll nerd in one of your songs, so is that the next best thing to being a rock star?
A rock and roll nerd? Yeah, I do. I'm glad you noticed that was about me. Yeah, look, I guess what that's all about is acknowledging the fact that so many rock stars these days get out there and sort of and they're angry and they play guitars and talk about how horrible their lives are, but they're all middle class white boys with good educations like me, and a lot of my comedy comes out of just admitting that I don't have a great deal of angst to go with. I don't have any horrible things that happened in my past, so I can't really scream and shout with too much sort of honesty. So I've decided to go the other way and mock myself instead, and mock the whole idea of what it is to be a kind of rock celebrity. And the great thing about that is I give myself license to talk about whatever I want. So although, you know, I do mock that genre a bit, I also do a love song to Inflatable Doll and talk about death and sex and all those things that are hilarious all the time.
And you know, I have to ask you, because talking about all that mocking, your beautiful wife is often the butt of your jokes. I mean, you say things like you wish that she would die, you even have a song titled Take My Wife. How does she feel about your humor, especially when she's involved?
Well, I actually address this issue a bit in my show at the moment, because I sometimes, I quite often get asked whether my wife likes me being so mean to her. But the thing is, it's a shared sense of humour that my wife and I have, and it's how we deal with everything. You know, the fears that you come up against in your life. There's a few different ways to deal with it. One is to sort of be crushed by it, and the other is to laugh at it. And obviously that makes some comedy a little bit edgy, and some people find it a bit confronting. But as far as I'm concerned, laughing at death and the things that we actually don't want to happen. I don't want my wife to die, but laughing at it is something that we do a lot.